everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or A Hobbit Reading List, and this week we are really going to focus on reading more books. Today is the 14th, and I've finished 2 books, so we're just going to move forward. Okay, so I said I finished 2 books, but I've actually finished 3, but I just finished one of them. So I read In the Next Room by Sarah Ruhl, otherwise known as The Vibrator Play. And it is a play that has about like 6 or 7 characters, but the main characters are Mrs. and Dr. Givings, which is funny now that I think about the role that Dr. Givings plays. So Dr. Givings is a doctor who specializes in OBGYN. This is set around the 1880s, so this is about the invention of the vibrator and how it had been previously used to cure hysteria by giving women, orgasms. So Dr. Givings provides this electrical massage that relieves the symptoms of hysteria. So that's wonderful. He has an assistant named Annie, and in the course of the play, they use this technique on Mrs. Daldry, I think, and Mr. Irving. Now, there's the set, one of it is like the operating room where the vibrator is used, and the other half of the set is the doctor's living room where his wife, Mrs. Givings, hangs out. She has just had a baby, but her milk isn't good, and so they have to hire a wet nurse, which brings up a lot of feelings for her. But she also gets to know, Mrs. Daldry and Mr. Irving, and she also hears these sessions. And so she's very curious because why would anyone make those sort of sounds? So it just really highlights like how little men, realize in those times like about women's sexuality and that like women can also have orgasms. But yeah, so it was fun. It was kind of funny. It was emotional at times, but it really focuses, like, aside from the vibrators and the orgasms, like, it really focuses on the relationships between men and women, especially, like, the marriage relationship, because in this play, at least in that time, like, women especially weren't looked at as, like, sexual beings. Like, they were wives and mothers and not sexual. And so it was really interesting to see. And then towards the end, like, Mrs. Givings has a very honest conversation with Dr. Givings. So it's really nice. I actually really enjoyed it. It was a very quick read. It was only like 86 pages. So I gave it a 4-star. It was very close. It probably could have edged up to a 4.5. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And now I really want to see it on stage. Like, this happens whenever I read a play. Like, I just really want to see it performed. So maybe at some point, if I have time, like, I'll try to find it online or something. But I don't know. But yeah, so it was really good. I really enjoyed it. The book that I'm going to read next is The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I'm kind of on a haunted house kick. I think, is Rebecca about a haunted house? Maybe. I think so. I guess technically. So maybe that's what I'll read next. Maybe I'll just keep going from haunted house to haunted house to haunted house. I think if Rebecca can be considered a haunted house story, I think there's the only 3 that I have. I don't know if I have any other haunted house stories. But so that's my plan. But right now I'm going to go grocery shopping. And then I'm going to write for a little bit tonight since I'm inspired by the haunted house vibes. So yeah, so that was it. So I just wanted to very quickly pop on here and talk about In the Next Room. So I'm going to get on with my day. So just a quick little update. I started reading The House of the Seven Gables. I've only read I think I'm on page 17. So I didn't read a ton yesterday. I was actually very busy with work. But it's taking I have this thing. I don't do well in silence. So sometimes filming clips is fine, but filming me reading, especially if what I had been listening to, like music or whatever, on was my phone. So because I was just reading a couple pages in between different meetings, I wasn't turning music on, and so it was taking me a little bit to focus on the actual words. So lesson learned. Even if I'm reading a quick page, I just can't. I just can't have it be silent. I can't do that. I am enjoying it. So far we've just gotten the background. So essentially, House of Seven Gables, the house was built on land that was gotten in a very kind of nefarious way. The main story takes place a couple years after the Salem witch trials, I believe. But the beginning of the story is sort of giving the background information of how the land had been owned by this guy, Matthew Mall, I think. And this other person from the village wanted that land, and so they had been going back and forth for a couple years in a legal dispute of whose land it was, but Matthew did nothing wrong, and so he got to keep the land until he was accused of witchcraft. So he ended up getting hanged, and the guy who is in a legal dispute with him got the land. And that guy, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but the colonel, he had been sort of leading the charge against Matthew. And so after Matthew died, he built the land, or he built the house on the land. Also, he used Matthew's son to design the house, which Matthew's son had to do because he needed money. But I'm that's horrible. So yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at. And then the house was built. The colonel had a huge welcome open house thing, and they found the colonel dead in his study. So I don't think that's a spoiler because literally I'm on page 17. But I was that's what you get. But the story is about inherited, I don't want to say curse because I don't, it's not, I don't know, but generational repercussions. So it should be really interesting. Don't think it's a legit haunted house like I had said before, but it will still be really interesting. And yeah, and then I'm gonna get ready for work in a little bit and start listening to Subculture Vulture. So I'll let you know how that goes. Good morning, everyone. I have to make this sort of quick because I'm already late to leave to work. I talked Wednesday. Yeah. I'm when was the last time I read? So for The House of the Seven Gables, I just finished reading chapter 1. So that was another 12 pages. So it's just more about the history of the family, and it's sort of the prologue. So now we're going to get into the actual story, but I haven't I haven't read any more of it. I am bringing it to work with me because while I do have a lot of meetings technically, I think that one of them will end early because it's more of like training someone. So, yeah. So we'll see how much time I end up having. Other than that, I started listening to Subculture Vulture. Uh, Subculture Vulture is essentially a memoir of the author Moshe and his experience in like 6 different subcultures. And I've listened to the first 2, which was AA, and the second one is the rave scene. So it's very interesting because the author was actually like, he was an alcoholic when he was a teenager, actively, and he got sober when he was 15. And so the first chapter is really interesting, all about like his experience with AA. And then the second chapter was fascinating because he was still sober when he was in the rave scene when he was like 18 to 20. So it was very, very interesting. I am looking forward to the next chapter, which is about in the like deaf subculture, because his mother is deaf, and so he uses sign language, and so he's already mentioned he's like half in, half out. So yeah, so I'm gonna listen to that next. And honestly, like, I really should be able to finish the Culture Vulture by the end of the weekend. I was going to listen to more last night, but because I went to Chicago for a concert, but I ended up like, for some reason, my stomach was like really hurting. And I still don't know why. Like, I didn't have any dairy yesterday, which is usually the main cause. And it's not like female time. So I don't know. Like, obviously, my stomach can just like hurt, but I have no idea why, like, what was the cause. So we ended up leaving the concert early, which I felt really bad about. And I drove home, but in order to not like focus on my stomach, I was just like singing along, because if I'm listening to an audiobook, like, yes, I'm focusing, but it is easier for my mind to wander, whereas if I'm actively doing something like singing, I don't focus on my stomach so much. So but yeah, so that's what's up. So I'm gonna go to work, and then I should listen to like a good chunk tonight, because I'm going to work, going to Temple, and then coming home. So that's 3.5 hours of listening. So yay. All right, bye. Good morning, everyone. It's been another weekend of me not filming, but my hair is crazy. I am kind of bummed that I didn't finish a book this week. I mean, technically, I did finish a book this week, but it was on Monday. I'm kind of bummed I haven't finished another book this week. I am at like, I think like 83% through Subculture Vulture, so I will finish it Wednesday when I drive to work. But I'm really enjoying it. I just finished the chapter about the author's Judaism and how he relates to it. It was really interesting, and it was just really nice. And I found out that my rabbi knows the author's brother, who's also a rabbi, and lives in LA. And so I thought that was really cool, because I was talking about the book to my rabbi, and he was like, he has a brother. So that was really cool. I'm like 2 degrees separated from an author. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think it'll be a really interesting book to talk about for the book club. The author has just had so many different experiences and has gone through so much. So yeah, it'll be really fun to talk about. Other than that, I have read maybe like, I don't know, like another like 50 pages or so of House of Seven Gables. I think I'm on like chapter 5, because I read some Saturday and I read some yesterday. It's it's taking me a while just because it was written in, the 1700s, I think? Or the 1800s? Maybe the 1800s. It's set in the 1700s. So it's not the fastest read, but right now, besides the first chapter, which was giving background on the family, the other 3 or 4 chapters I've read, I don't remember how many, are just about, I think her name's Hepzibah. She's like 60. She is a spinster, never married, never had kids, but she lives in the Pincian home, I think is how it's pronounced. I don't know. That, the whole thing about like the land and Matthew Mall and everything, that was the house that was created. And she's opened a scent shop. That's not like scent like smell, that's scent as in like a 1 cent. Where she's selling things to try to get money, and she's sort of struggling because she takes that as a sign of like, failure and not being like the lady that she was raised to be. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm eager for the story to sort of pick up. So that's about where I'm at. What I'm going to try to do next week is I'm going to obviously finish Subculture Vulture. I'm going to start listening to Rebecca, and that will get me through the rest of October. And I'm going to try to finish House of Seven Gables, because I do want to finish it, even if it's a little bit slow. And then I have to start reading Thank You, Jeeves. And so I will not be finishing my October TBR this month, obviously. I think, honestly, it was just a combination of, like, work, and then the high holy days were this month, and so, like, most of my days off, I was driving to Chicago anyway. So I haven't had that much free time, and then I've had homework, so I just really haven't had a lot of like time to actually like read. I'm really hoping November will be slower, because I really don't have a lot going on in November. Like, I'm going to a concert, but like that's it. Like, even for Thanksgiving, like I don't really have plans. So hopefully November will be like a lot more chill. But yeah, that was this vlog. I'm very sorry I did not read more, but it happens, But thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I do appreciate it. Go ahead and leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you in next week's vlog, which will hopefully be a lot more productive. So, bye.